This is a steppe groundhog, a furry rodent from the family of Viverridae. The cute animal has fans all over the world. A bestseller film was even made about him in Hollywood. Since 1886, every year humanity celebrates Groundhog Day. In Ukraine, there is a tradition of celebration. Groundhog Day has also taken root. 20 years ago, for the first time on Ukrainian territory, woke up a groundhog in the Kharkiv region. Journalists and scientists gathered at the biostation in Gaidari for the rodent to determine the arrival of spring and predicted the future harvest.
Tymko chose patience. Sure, with this superpower, victory is definitely ours.
There is
a biostation at Karazin Kharkiv National University, and the biostation has the largest collection of groundhogs. And when we came here for the first time in 2004, we were shown different groundhogs. They were blonde, brunettes, redheads. They were all kinds. There were 20 different groundhogs here.
In recent years, in the role of Slobozhan the national forecaster, speaks groundhog Tymko III, heir to the throne. There were soothsayers before him, Tymko II and Tymko I. These glorious rodents were tamed and cared for by Viktor Tokarsky, professor of the Faculty of Biology of the Karazin Kharkiv National University. The professor died in 2020. And Tymko III had an extremely difficult fate, for which evolution hardly prepared him.
This is the king of the night, so evil will win.
The Russian regular army is treacherous, invaded Ukrainian land and mercilessly destroys all living things, not sparing either people or animals. Groundhog Tymko and his tribesmen, in 2022, while wintering in the Kupiansk region, they found themselves under occupation. The earth shook from the explosions, there was no light, there were supply interruptions, bread and food for animals. Volodymyr Ronkin, who ended up with red book animals under siege by the Russian invaders, mentions that they hardly slept. All groundhogs he watched in 2023, they did not give offspring. This can be a deplorable consequence of war, the expert believes.
When we had bread, we bought it for them. The fact is that they need at least some variety in the feed. They are still in cages. In nature, they will find food for themselves. But here only what we give them. By the way, no one was born last year. I don't know exactly why. But last winter they were in the basement all the time when the terrible sounds of war were heard. I'm not too surprised that they didn't reproduce.
Because of the actions of the Russian Federation, eternal masters of the Ukrainian steppes in mortal danger. Before the war, the number of groundhogs that lived on territories of Kharkiv region reached 3,000 to 5,000 individuals. Now most of the territories where they are live, this is the battle line. And it is impossible to find out how many brothers and sisters of Tymko has left in the wild.
If you take the population, the remnants of which remained in the wild, then they suffered great losses. During our research, which is more than 30 years, it has decreased, well, almost 10 times in number. And what will remain now and whether anything will remain, it is difficult to say. It's impossible to even estimate yet.
As a result of active hostilities in Kharkiv region, more than 170,000 hectares of forests and more than 570,000 hectares of agricultural land were destroyed or damaged. Natural parks and landscapes suffered devastating destruction. For example, the Dvorochanskii National Park, which the Russians almost destroyed with shelling. Before the start of the war, there were many endemics, animals and plants, including red-listed species. It will be possible to find out whether there is anything alive there only after the cessation of hostilities.
We'll see what's left, and not only with groundhogs. We actually work with the ecology of the steppe. We are interested in both vegetation and the entire animal world. As people say, we will see in the future. But it is already clear that this is a terrible tragedy. We don't know what it will all lead to. We don't know where the next bomb will fall. There are views in the same Dvorachny park plants, which are represented by individual representatives on such a spot of several square meters. Well, a bomb got there, and it will destroy everything. There will be no such plants in our region. Here's one steppe orchid, let's say. We know it, we have it recorded, we are watching it. There were only 5 plants. This redbook species is in Europe. If it is destroyed, we will not have it.
У нас ее не будет.
Professor of Karazin Kharkiv National University Dmytro Shabanov emphasizes, everything that the Russian regular army deals with Ukrainian nature, bringing death to the environment, can be called ecocide.
Це величезний злочин, це екоцид, це руйнація.
This is a huge crime. It's an ecocide, the destruction of destinies, the death of people.
It seems to me that there is no need to evaluate what is happening now. The world order is on the edge, and our destinies are broken by the sick ideas of the Russians about the restoration of their empire.
This is their ridiculous civilizational project.
Ми протистоїмо величезній, жахливій силі.
We are up against a huge, terrible force, and we must stand.
Biologists say that the Ukrainian steppe, where groundhog and other representatives of red book fauna and flora live, almost none remain. In Kharkiv region, which was targeted by the Russian occupiers, many hectares of land are mined. The soil has become unfit for cultivation. That's why farmers, in their desire to get at least some kind of harvest, began to destroy even protected areas, where from time immemorial wild animals lived, and rare plants flourished.
Степова флора і фауна, вони дуже...
Steppe flora and fauna are very vulnerable.
And they remained in small pieces. Roadside slopes of streams.
This is not agricultural land. That is why there is a virgin steppe, which leads history according to its composition, from the Middle Ages, literally.
And now such scraps, which cannot really be destroyed.
At the same time, in the areas near the front, they are plowed.
But still, except for short-term ones. Prospects, in addition to increasing the yield. This year should be thought about.
And about the long-term perspective?
And now our representatives are trying to reach the owners of agricultural land.
But it turns out badly.
And actually, I think that it is necessary to convey the opinion that
the preservation of unique biodiversity,
unique Ukrainian steppe, with its herbs, with its insects,
with its larger fauna, such as groundhogs, it is also a value, which deserves respect, effort, maybe even
on self-limitation in something.
Навіть, можливо, на самообмеження в чомусь.
Scientists of Karazin Kharkiv National University have been warning about the destruction of steppe lands for many years and are trying to save them. One of the attempts is to create the Eastern Steppe National Nature Park on the territory of the Kharkiv region. But the large-scale invasion of the Russians destroyed the plans of ecologists. Many areas that were supposed to be included in the territory of the park have been destroyed and now continue to be polluted. Experts say this is a crime that is happening in view of the whole world.
Это преступление, которое не имеет срока давности, и преступление там в отношении людей это один момент.
This is a crime that has no statute of limitations. Crimes against people are one thing. We are a pretty tough species and can recover quickly.
А вот природа это история, которая очень тяжело подлежит восстановлению.
But nature is very difficult to restore. It will most likely take hundreds of years. And this is not to mention the contamination of territories with mines and explosives. Deleting certain elements of the ecosystem is detrimental to the entire system as a whole.
Оно губительно для всей системы в целом.
In addition, the occupiers destroyed hydraulic structures on the Oskil Reservoir, which caused the biggest environmental disaster in the Kharkiv region. The leakage of almost 5 meters of water caused the loss of the Nature Reserve Fund, the migration and extinction of animals, birds and fish. The infrastructure of the Krasnopavlovsky and Pesheniska reservoirs, from which Kharkiv receives water, was also destroyed. The scale of environmental damage caused to the ecology of the Kharkiv region by hostilities amounts to billions of dollars. This amount is growing every day, the authorities say, because the Russian army continues to burn centuries-old forests in the region, destroy unique steppes and pollute reservoirs.